Okay. It is 7:18. I am now calling the Conservation Commission meeting for September 15th to order. I forgot to open the agenda. Does anybody have anything that needs to be added to the agenda under the 48 rule?
I would like to add something if we have time, which we may not, considering how packed the agenda is, but I noticed in the minutes that I was reviewing that when I presented about the signs at all the different conservation lands, the Conservation Commission didn't actually take a vote on recommendations back to Sherborn Forest and Trails. So I think we could probably use the minutes to look back at each of those, and it would be great to get that guidance if we have time. I think that would be maybe a 15-minute conversation.
Well, it's less a matter of time than I get a little stuck on amending the agenda because we took land management off of it. I'm feeling a little of a stickler. We can maybe deal with it under the minutes and then maybe under site issues. But then I'm not going to amend the agenda for it. We'll see what we can do under the existing topics.
Okay. It's not urgent, so we could also.
I know what you mean. I know I feel a little like how much I'm being too much of a stickler or not. But I have issues there. Okay, so we're keeping the agenda, so we're not going to be changing anything.
I have one thing. I spoke to George Fisk yesterday. He wants to use the Barber Barn for an event.
Now, do we need to talk to him about it, or is it urgent enough that it can't be on the next agenda?
It's this weekend.
I would say that's fairly urgent.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will move that I move that we amend the agenda to deal with a request to use for an event at the Barber Reservation. Because it happened, we just heard about it and it's happening this weekend. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Michael, aye. Jacob?
Aye.
Courtney?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Okay, the agenda has been amended for the Barber Reservation thing.
Michael is in the waiting room. I'm not co-host right now, so.
Oh, then let me do that.
I'm getting text messages.
Oh yeah, there's Matthew. Okay. Let me make you, I forgot to do that. Okay. Ready to go. Okay, let's see if the Barber, do you think it's a quick thing we could do in the 9 minutes we have here, the Barber thing?
Yeah, it's very quick. I think this is the annual meeting for the Friends of the Barber, and George uses the barn every year. He called me a couple weeks ago, but it was when I had COVID, and so I missed his voicemail. That's why it's urgent now.
Right.
And he said, he would, as usual, he would clean the barn, give it its annual cleaning as part of the little meeting.
Courtney, I didn't know there was such thing as a Friends of the Barber. Who is that?
I don't know if maybe it's historical stuff. I honestly don't remember the phone call very well.
Well,
the nature of the event is, oh, go on, sorry, Carol.
It's an annual meeting, so.
It's probably fine, but I think in the future, it'd be good for the commission to get that request in writing, and, when it will be, who it will be used for, how is it town business, etc.
Yeah, so I think in the past, he used to just reach out to the agent and he would just get a sign off. I think at some point, didn't we make a form, like a request to use conservation property or something?
I don't remember that.
But
Okay, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a fairly benign use of the thing, of the facilities there, and it's just in the barn. I don't know if I mean, I guess, I don't know if we have to formally vote on this. Do people want to do it that way? Or,
I mean, I don't think we have in the past for this particular thing because it's inside the barn, and I think Allery or previous agents used to just say it was fine. So-
yeah, okay, fine.
The one thing I would say, I think we could handle it that way, but it just happens I was on Historical Commission when some of that renovation happened, and then on Conservation Commission, and there's various like restrictions to how you can use the barn because of how old it is. There's a restriction on how many people. It's not, I forget what the correct term is, but it's obviously not accessible for people with wheelchairs and things. There's no bathroom services. So I guess I would recommend, this sounds fairly benign. We have no idea how many people, but he was directly involved with reconstructing the barn, so he knows the limit of people that should be in that barn. And but I would just say going forward, it's not a good idea for us to approve it this way. And people should actually let us know how many people, how long it'll be, what's required, so that we're not just approving things without those details.
I would say if, I don't know, if Joyce, you have time as the agent to contact George Fisk, if you have the phone number, Courtney, you give it to him and just check with him about those issues of what the use is and the number of people and stuff like that, just to see that it all makes some sense with what it is. And that and maybe you could check with Deborah to see, or even Elizabeth, whether we actually have a form for use, as Carol suggesting that we basically formalize it a bit more.
All right, I found the voicemail. It is his annual blueberry pie eating board meeting of Historical Society, and it'll be 15 people.
Okay,
Okay,
And he said it'll be just probably a few picnic tables outside. He'll
okay.
clean the barn out. 1 o'clock, an hour and a half.
That seems perfectly within parameters as I know
Right.
of the
Bloody
barn.
left me a voicemail because I
okay, fine. Then you could save your time, Joyce. I think we have enough basis to move on this thing here. It's only a matter of whether we want to get a little more formal about people. But whether, to some extent, I don't want to get carried away with too much. Okay. We dealt with that issue there. Let's see, we have 4 minutes before the continued public hearing. I think it's a little shy, although on the minutes, I guess I can't tell whether Courtney has read it. I guess, Jacob, you read one set of them, if I gather.
I read both sets. I sent you 2 little tiny fixes on both, or 1 question and 2 little fixes.
Okay, and question, I'm trying to see whether we could quickly, Carol, I can't remember which set of minutes you sent me stuff for.
Only one of them because I wasn't at both meetings.
Okay, which one did you send?
I'll have to look and see what's in my sent mail or my minutes. Hang on. 8/4. August. Yep.
So 8/18, which I'm gonna try to squeeze this in a minute here, that what's going on here? There it is. Here's 8/18, or the matter, Courtney, do you, because I guess what was the other edit besides the 0?
That was it for this one that I noticed.
Okay, fine.
It was the other
Yes,
one.
that's the classic coding error. I'm not surprised you found that one. I remember many a year, or many an hour lost on a stupid 0 versus an O on computer punch cards. But, so I had a good laugh when you caught that. I remember looking at it, thinking it looked a little strange, but I don't know. So Carol, you're not looking at this very much.
I didn't have anything.
And you didn't have anything. Matt, did you have anything, or do you want to look this over? We could do this.
I don't think I was present at that one, so I'll probably abstain unless you need me for a quorum.
Well, we might need, actually, well, that's a good question. We have you as being there, and that's a question in its own right.
All right. The one that I was just looking at, I wasn't there.
Which one were you just looking at? Which one?
I'm driving kids home from football. I'll be home in 6 minutes. Let me get back to you.
Okay, fine. Then it's, yeah, there was a 5-0 vote, so that means somebody wasn't there.
Well, I looked at
It's
one
not.
of them that said Matt was there, but then and the next line down, it said he was not there. And I thought I had corrected that.
This is on the 18th. I'm looking at the 18th,
Okay,
right here, as you see it in front of you. And that's where I realized that, right, we have 5-0 votes.
Well, it says absent Carol McGarry, and I'm not, I
Oh, yeah,
wasn't.
right there. Okay, so that explains that. So they were there. Okay, thank you, Carol.
Sure.
The obvious conclusion here. Okay, we'll get back to this then. It's now 7:30. I am now reopening the
so
hearing.
without Matt here right now, can we hold the hearing? Or is there a quorum to vote?
There's a quorum.
Okay,
And let's see, so Matt is out between around whatever. 7:28 or whatever. A little tricky. Okay. Come back to it. So I'm now reopening the hearing for if I got it right here, 116, is it? Farm Road. And I think we have Kevin here.
Yes, you do.
And is anybody else supposed to come from your side, or everybody's here from your side?
Not sure if anybody else is joining, but I'm the primary contact person.
Okay. Then, okay, we can open it up again. Okay, so how do we, Joyce, Kevin, how do you want to go at this?
so, so I put the latest, Kevin submitted another revised plan. What I put in the file folder, is this that latest revised plan? I think there's another one in the folder labeled, revised 2, I think.
Revised too. Let me go look at the folder.
Yeah, I revised it this afternoon, Joyce, after I received your email with the 4 bullet points on it.
Yes, I saw that. That's why.
So there's the one that was put
It's the
up.
one at the top.
Okay, and I stuck in the email here with the replies if we wanted to look at that, but okay. So this is the one that we should be looking at. I forgot that you guys were still looking at my screen. Somebody else can take over if they want to, let's see. Or whether this, try to expand it here to include everything here. I think that this is sort of as large as I can get, and it shows everything.
Okay, I'm glad to talk about it for a few minutes,
Fine,
Mr. Chairman.
Sure, by all means, and you can let me know if you want to control the screen, but, or we can just talk from here.
No, I guess just go from here and talk. The plan was revised after a site walk in the last hearing. We eliminated a prior planting scheme and replaced it with a planting schedule. It's shown on the plan. It's not in this view, but there's a planting schedule. Joyce reviewed it, and as you can see in plan view, we've proposed, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think 11 saplings that are a mix of coniferous and deciduous trees, with 4 or 5 of them listed in the plant schedule. And then the smaller circles with the crosshairs in the middle are shrubs. And I think there's 23 of them proposed in this plan view and also in a letter I submitted to the commission a week or two ago to meet the deadline for the plan submission. There was also deer fencing, mesh deer fencing shown within the 0 to 50-foot setback. And in accordance with Joyce's memo, she didn't think that that would be acceptable and, left up to me to decide how to handle it. So I just took it off the plan and said, we'll remove the deer fencing in the 0 to 50-foot zone. The intent is to get the hearing closed tonight so they can move to the next stage with this project instead of another continuance. So again, there's 11 saplings that are in the plant schedule and 23 shrubs. In between that, I think in some of the documentation that was, it's proposed to seed and stabilize the areas in between the plantings within the limit of work. The limit of work is the LOW line on this plan. It's a red dash, and it kind of circulates around the planting areas, trying to stay as far away as possible. One of the comments the commission members made at the site walk and the hearing was the planting should provide shade for each other, or at least for the smaller shrubs to survive. So I've tried to place these with respect to the north arrow and fill in the areas that I thought were appropriate to provide that shade to the smaller shrubs. And that was the intent on this. There's a few other little things on this plan with respect to the rebuilding the stairs and what remains of the timber walls along each side of the new boulder wall. We also placed the concrete bounds with the plaques on them. There were 4 on the plan, noted by the small squares. Right, yeah, there's one, there's another, yeah, right there. There, yes. And then further up the, yeah, right there. Up in that area also, the access drive on the last revised plan was extended. Well, that, yeah, your arrow is on the access drive. Well, the access drive that's with the surrounded by or outlined by the long dash red lines. Yes, right in that area. And it goes around to the side of the garage, which is where we exited on our site walk several weeks ago, around the garage area of this property. So the other thing, one other comment, the SPs, the little circles down there closer to the wetland, those are approximately where the extra deer fencing was stockpiled. And I took note of it, sketched it out, and then just put a note on here to remove excess deer fencing. One concern I have, and again, in the spirit of trying to close this hearing, was that the deer fencing, within the 0 to 50-foot zone, is going to serve to keep the deer out from eating the newly planted shrubs. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword to swing on this project, because the commission doesn't want the deer fencing within 50 feet, but they want the plants to survive. So I just took the deer fencing off, the proposed deer fencing, and we'll have to figure it out later how to protect the shrubs from being eaten.
Right. Okay. I'm just doing a little changing here, so you guys can see more. I assume you could see 2 screens now, everybody?
Yeah,
So
but that's the other older plan and the second capture you have there.
what's that?
That's the older planting list you have in the,
Oh, that's the older one. I'm looking at the wrong file. Okay. Then I gotta go back.
very top, the very top one.
Yeah. Okay. What comments? Does this address all your questions and issues, Joyce, from
Yeah,
your?
I had just had 4 comments and he addressed them all. I wanted to just a note that said any modifications of the plant species, because sometimes they can't find what is on the list, so they want to try and find other things, that they run it by the commission or the agent prior to buying them.
Right.
And that's note number 2. I also wanted to add that on the plan, he shows all the plants, but he didn't have the number, and so he's added that to the notes, number one. And as far as the deer fencing goes, you know, they had put the deer fencing from where it ends on the original, the dark blue lines there is what's out there now. And he had wrapped it around the limit of work. And in the last meeting, you all had said, just keep it out of the no alteration zone. And I just said that was a comment from that meeting, and you all can decide how you want to handle that.
Right,
Everything else he seems to have addressed.
okay. Matt, did you raise your hand? I can't tell if I see him here or not. I don't know why oh, okay. Okay, Carol.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, one of the things I was thinking about for this is that, you know, in the buffer zone, what we really want to do is provide lots of leaf litter that looks like a normal forest, so that's where, you know, little critters like tree frogs and especially salamanders live. And I thought that this was a good proposal. With showing the planting, it was a good mix of big deciduous trees like the red oak and the white oak and the sugar maple. And then also it seemed like a pretty good quantity and species of shrubs. I would, when it comes to deer, I think it's so unpredictable. I mean, I've had sweet fern and elderberry in my yard that deer didn't touch. I've seen low bush blueberry that deer didn't touch, and there's plenty of clethra around town that deer don't touch, but that is no guarantee one way or the other, because, you know, deer get hungry and then they eat things that they don't prefer. So I don't know what, I don't have a strong feeling one way or another about the deer fencing. I think it's possible that everything will survive without the deer fencing, but there's no guarantees in Sherborn.
Okay, any other before I go, any other comments from the other commissioners on the plan that's being suggested here?
I mean, that's a lot of plant material. I mean, I would be in favor of some kind of protection for it, especially while it's young. You know, because once the trees get above a certain height and, you know, the shrubs get to a certain size, it'll be a little bit better protected. But I really do think you're going to have to do some kind of protection in the beginning.
You know, one thing that I think will really get hammered is the dogwoods, the shrub dogwoods. I think the deer really like to eat them, but.
I mean, we have lots of projects with planting plans. And it's basically whether we're having the standard stuff we've used is where all the trees need to survive and 75% of the shrubs is our standard conditioning that I just want to make sure. And I guess I want to say one thing. So Joyce, as we go through all this, I assume you're taking notes about what we're going to do for the conditioning for the order, that we're going to stick with the 100% and the 75 for the shrubs. But we've generally not sort of delved into that level beyond that, in terms of whether we want to say something more here. I mean, normally we wouldn't even touch this issue too much, other than leave it to them to have to figure out how it's going. Do we want to do something different here?
Can I make a suggestion, please, Michael?
Sure.
I was thinking about this afternoon. I was wondering if the kind of like deer fencing on a temporary basis until the plants get a chance to mature a little bit, maybe a 3 to 4 year period. I'm guessing at that, you know, for fencing around it and then remove the deer fencing.
Yeah, that sounds like an interesting idea. I mean, generally our issue with some of that fencing is just wildlife habitat and creatures running around. But I think in this enclosed area here, I think that we can live with something like that. I mean, we used to just say, put up the fencing and then leave a gap at the bottom, because that's the stuff that we worry about, whether just, I mean, I mean, we have 2 growing seasons as part of the order of conditions, is a normal thing that this has to go through, so that we might have, people want to consider having the deer, some deer fencing protection, doesn't have to be all of it. Some part of this could be protected with deer fencing for the 2 growing seasons and removed for the certificate of compliance.
I feel like if the homeowner is willing to go to that expense, I can see why they would want to do it, simply because it is much higher likelihood that they won't have to come back and replant. So,
Protects their investment.
Yeah.
right.
So everybody's okay with that? Or Joyce, what do you think of that idea?
No, I think it's fine. If you, as you mentioned, if they could put like a 6-inch gap at the bottom for any little creatures.
Okay. So we'll have, okay, so we'll have a condition where you can do the where the deer fencing is in place for the 2 growing seasons. We can reconsider it depending on how things look, I guess, when we go after the 2 growing seasons, and with a 6-inch gap. And, okay, so we've resolved that issue. Does anybody else have anything before I go? Then my issues are whether we have a condition here that there's some in the area, disturbed area, that there's at least some manual removal of the invasive species to give a little better chance. Of the good stuff surviving in the areas that are being replanted. So that would be one condition I have. And I guess I wanted to clarify, what are we doing at the herbaceous level? Are we doing a seeding? I couldn't tell if I heard that or not.
Looks like they have carex.
What's that?
Monica. You guys are putting in
There's some fern and
yeah, ferns, and sedges,
a sedge.
and the scrofularia.
Right.
Well, I'm trying to see, there's 36 shrubs plus herbaceous, then I guess I'd like to get more specific about what it is that is considered herbaceous versus shrubs. Whether what it is, like the ferns, like sticking in the sedge.
I think they're plug-based vegetation, where you install them through plugs that are purchased at a landscape supplier. The intent is to, get full coverage on all disturbed areas, because as you know, when you go to plant these saplings, they have exposed soil, probably a 3 or 4 foot diameter around each sapling. And then where they're on a little bit of a slope, it's going to carry, on the down gradient side a little bit more than on the up gradient side. So the intent is to, get grass or vegetation to stabilize, or to germinate and stabilize in those areas. And again, the herbaceous level is a couple species that are in the plant schedule, but anything that's not covered there is, like a wildflower mix or a meadow mix, conservation meadow mix.
So you got, so sorry, I was also looking. So is there going to be, I guess I'm still a little.
So are you seeding the ground? You're taking up the wood chips. You're not spreading any loam?
Well, we're needed around probably bringing a little bit of loam in. They always need loam a little bit to, create the, I don't know what you want to call it, the crater where the saplings would go in. Dig them in as much as they can, but on a slope like this, you usually need a little bit of loam on the downhill side to build it up to contain the water. And I would suspect that they're going to be, running a hose down there to just fill those pod areas with water while the plants get acclimated, especially the saplings.
So after you're done here, how are you going to stabilize the loam? Are you going to use like a leaf compost to spread around, or is there something that you can do? Seed it with I'm not sure seeding with a conservation seed mix would make any difference, but maybe like a composted leaf layer to stabilize something.
Yeah, and previously I had that earth blanket detail on the plan.
Yeah, but that's more like a really fine bark mulch as opposed to like a loose leaf layer.
I mean, it could be
Oh.
some planting. I mean, I guess we can get something around the trees that we're dealing with, but I'm also just unclear about, one thing that has to be noted is that the wood chip area to be removed, that blue line, I guess,
Yes.
we'll have to just note that it's approximate because it actually seemed to extend a little bit further down from my recollection, but whatever it is, I would basically want to have, just as to be explicit in the conditions, is that all of the wood chips would be removed. It's just a more of a general condition that it's not just within that area.
Right.
So I don't think that quite maps to what's there, which is all right, but I just want to make sure that there'll be a condition that all the wood chips will be removed, and those are the areas. Now, I'm trying to understand about how, yeah, I mean, but coming back to what it is, I mean, there's something around the base of the trees, but I'm just trying to clarify on the shrubs that often we have the shrubs and herbaceous, but of the 36 of the list that's there, that's shrub and herbaceous, there is a bunch of stuff there, some of which is sort of like at the herbaceous level. The sedges, I would assume, I'm not a big plant person, but, and then there's a bunch of these things here that are shrubs. So there's going to be 36 shrubs plus some herbaceous. I mean, I tend to want to be a little bit clear about what it is we're getting. I would think that I wouldn't count maybe a sedge plug or a fern plug to be a shrub. So I just want to get clear about what it is you're going to do, or with me giving you the hint that I'm assuming there's 36 real shrubs plus some herbaceous.
Yeah,
plugs.
The fern, the sweet fern, and the sedge is not intended to be, to take up a placeholder of the round shrub symbol with the crosshair on it. Those are the shrubs or the woody species, whereas the
Yeah.
herbaceous isn't. They're not. It wasn't intended to depict herbaceous species on this planting plan. These were the woody stock shrubs.
Okay.
So the herbaceous, at the herbaceous level, it was going in between all the shrubs and the saplings, in addition to what's shown on the plan.
Okay, so, okay, just so to get clear, we'll be clear, I guess, how we write it up, that essentially there is the saplings. When I look at the number, and then I'll just say to everybody, look, I assume the circles you have there is essentially, is that equivalent to the crown at a mature level for the trees?
No, it's, of course, the crowns on some of the oaks and the maples are going to be significantly larger. I mean, look at the 36-inch diameter oak trees out there.
Right,
Those
exactly.
crowns are 40, 50 feet in diameter.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to get, because I'm trying to look at this against the ratio of a lot of trees were cut and we're basically planting in only 11 trees, but I guess, and oh yeah, what are the size? Let's come to agreement on the size of the saplings. Normally we have that kind of precision just to avoid any that, whether we're doing a 2 or 3 inch caliper. What is it that?
Well, generally I put 8 to 10 feet on the saplings, and try to space them enough to, grow and fill out their canopies.
8 to 10 feet. What size, what caliper is that roughly? Is that a reasonable?
My guess would be 1.5 inches at breast height.
Okay. Normally we've been asking for like 2 or 3 inches, I think, but whether that's and whether you have any, I don't know what other members think or what Joyce thinks.
I mean, a 2 to 3 inch caliper tree, getting it down that steep slope sounds like it would be require disturbing more of the area.
Okay. Other people, so basically we feel in this context doing the 8 to 10 footers is sufficient? Do other people feel that way?
I think that's a reasonable size.
Okay,
I think I agree with that about size. And one thing is we're having so many droughts that it's almost better, I think, to plant the slightly smaller trees. They get a better chance to get their roots in and just get growing.
okay. Point taken, all agreed. I just want to make sure we get these things cleared up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
on the shrubs, this is the kind of detail we should be asking, plus the next time. We'll try to do this ahead of time. Sorry, Kevin. We'll just try to be clear when people give us planting plans. We try to get sizes and like even the shrubs, whether we're talking about a certain, what size shrubs are you generally planting? 2, 3 gallon? I don't know what. We tend to try to be precise about that.
2 gallon generally would be a minimum.
Okay, people feel okay with that? Okay, so the question is that in the order there that we'll have at the herbaceous level, there'll be some reasonable bit of coverage in between the shrubs that will sort of, that there's 36 shrubs from this list that you can always come back to us about the list. Often I don't know if we want a condition where sometimes we have that the final selection of plants, and then I'm not sure we need it. If we're happy with this whole list here, then we don't necessarily have to have a list, a consultation. Often we've said, come back with the planting plan and the agent can approve it. But if we're okay with this list, everybody, all the plant people, then we don't have to have that. And I'm seeing people nod, so I'm assuming we're not going to have, we don't need to have that condition, other than if things change, as it's written here, we'll have it in words in the condition that they'll come back then. Okay.
Well,
So
don't we want to give, wouldn't we want to give the agent, if they can't get the Pennsylvania sedge, Joyce could give them permission to swap
Oh, yeah,
out.
that's fine. That's what it
Appalachian
has
sedge.
here. That's what it has here. I'm just saying that they don't have to come with a plan beforehand, but if they want to make additions to this, if they want to make changes or additions to, actually, it's not changes. If they want to make additions to this list, they should just come back and talk to the agent. That's all what the condition would be.
Okay.
That we can use the list here, but if they want to add to it, and we basically want some mix, and it'll also be on the shrubs. It's 2 gallons plus some mix. That it won't be. Okay, I'm just trying to get this thing tidied up in a way there. Let's see what other things that I have. The monuments, people are pretty good there. I guess they want to be able to walk along the fence there, but that does give some guidance there. I guess one issue I have with the thing is where I can't tell how unaltered this area is here, given that was altered, whether. Do we have a
Pretty
sense of-
unaltered.
That wasn't altered at all.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm just trying to say whether we, just to give a little clarity, whether we wanted, like at this there, it's a little clear here that we've gone up the hill. Whether to, I don't know what the access, I guess, comes around here, whether stick another monument up there, just to be clear. That is still the 100-foot, whether to put. I guess this line here is just a limit of work.
Right.
Trying to figure out whether to put something at the buffer zone here.
There's not really any foot traffic over there. There's a lot of trees that weren't plotted, located or plotted over there. So it's a lot thicker than what's shown on this plan. But once you get into the 100-foot, like where those 2 30-inch twin trees
Yeah,
are right near your arrow, those trees funnel you towards the retaining wall. And that's why I placed that monument kind of down at the base of the steps on the, the west side of the wall? Yeah, right in there. Those trees funnel you down to the front of the wall.
Okay, if people are okay with that. We'll push it. Unless anybody else feels. Okay, what other conditions do we have that we want to have here? That we want to bring up? Carol?
I was, one thing I noticed when we were on the visit was that there were a fair number of scattered around native saplings and native shrubs and native vegetation in the area that have been disturbed. So I think one of the conditions should be that during the mitigation process, native saplings, shrubs, and other plants are preserved as much as possible so that the plantings are planted in amongst them.
Yeah, I mean, that brings up the issue for me of the fact that here you have shrubs down here and over here. That actually, if I recall, I can't remember where the wood chips, I have this image of the wood chips being here.
Yeah, they're right.
Sort of a tongue coming down here.
Right.
Of wood chips, and then it wrapped around back here. And I remember thinking that we were discussing how this whole area here, I mean, I could see we need the trees, but whether the shrubs, given the scale, I guess it's hard to tell, because whether the shrubs should be more placed, that we actually like the regrowth here. And there is always that issue of that it seemed to be coming back naturally with saplings and other kind of things, that whether the shrub should be more concentrated in the areas with the wood chips, and whether we want to have, other than the trees being planted, because they need to be put somewhere, whether other than the trees being planted at the lower level, whether the shrubs should be, because I think even 36 shrubs could probably, I mean, even though there's big circles here, these circles are fairly big, I think. I don't know whether, I don't know, so I bring up the issue whether the shrub should be less, there should be maybe fewer of them down here where it seemed like it was coming back quite well, or maybe the disturbance of the layer there won't be that great in planting a shrub.
I mean, maybe the guidance should be that new shrubs should not substitute for existing live shrubs or trees, and then leave it to
Okay,
Kevin's discretion of where he can put those where there's less coverage.
right, okay, why don't we word something like that? Does that make sense to people? As a way to do it, as opposed to try to, because right, if I was there, I'd try, because I remember it just being, looked like it was coming back quite nicely here, but and sometimes disturbing it is more detrimental than putting in an extra shrub or two.
What if we said, like Michael had pointed out, that new shrubs are limited to the area of wood chips?
I can't remember whether there were some bare areas where there weren't wood chips.
Well, we could say that a compromise, there's bare areas plus wherever the wood chips were.
Okay.
Any other conditions or ideas from people, or any standard stuff you want to go over, Joyce? So that we can move towards, because I always like to go over all the conditions before we close the hearing and move on to findings.
So if I just quickly run through the conditions that you talked about, is that survivability will be 100% for all trees and 75% for shrubs. Deer fencing can be installed around the limit of.
I'll stop you back to add to that one of that we need that at the herbaceous layer, there'll be
Well-
complete coverage, unless you add it there. I just want to add something about that. That'll achieve complete coverage within the growing seasons.
Do you want
Maybe
to
have
say
that
that
separate.
the herbaceous layer will create a complete coverage?
Yeah,
Is there complete coverage in the undisturbed areas adjacent at the herbaceous layer?
No.
well, it's a matter of how we define. But I mean, it is a little. It's a little subjective as to what complete coverage is.
So, I mean,
Significant, how
that-
about significant coverage?
Well, but so when you look at around, like, if we looked at the slope that was adjacent to that, there were shrubs and there were trees, and then there was leaf stuff. There was no herbaceous layer. So, I mean, it's one thing to talk about stabilizing exposed soil, but I mean, the herbaceous, there is no herbaceous layer anywhere else on this slope. I'm not sure he can, I guess my concern is that you won't be able to achieve that. And if
Right,
we get
okay.
to the certificate of compliance,
I guess it's just a matter of avoiding signs of erosion.
I think adding those herbaceous plants if they're looking to do that or willing to do that, that's certainly a bonus.
Okay, so the question is, we're not gonna. Well, then we want some coverage, especially with the wood chip area. And I guess it's a matter of when they go for the certificate of compliance, that there's no signs of erosion. It's really just gonna be the test of all that. And that it's also not a lot of invasives that come up in the bare areas. Okay, then go on, because then,
All right, the second one was the deer fence could be installed around the limit of planting with a 6-inch gap at the bottom. That, and I'll word these out, this is just my notes. Manual removal of invasive species.
but the deer fencing is temporary for the,
Okay, deer fencing is temporary.
although I guess we can reconsider that depending on how it looks, but.
All right, all wood chips are to be removed from site or from 100-foot buffer zone. Herbaceous plantings are in addition to the specified number of trees and shrubs. Trees will be 8 to 10 feet in height. Shrubs will be in 2-gallon containers. The four monuments are shown on the plan. New shrubs are to be, and I'll word this again, but new shrubs limited to the bare areas and the area of wood chips. And that's what I've gotten from our conversation.
Okay, are there any other special conditions that we might have beyond the standard kind of?
Maybe that the trees and shrubs should be watered until fully established. But again, there's gonna be a 2-year monitoring period. So after the end of 2 growing seasons, then we will, I mean, it might be helpful if they gave us a report at the end of the first growing season to see how things were going, or at the end of 2 growing seasons, they can request a certificate of compliance. I mean, what kind of language are you comfortable with?
We've not often asked for an interim report.
Okay,
Whether that's a
so-
good, whether that should be a good practice is maybe something to head off the problems coming up. We could put that in there if it's all right with Kevin. Just get a little quick status report or a site visit after the 1 year.
1 year would be 2 growing seasons.
Well, the question is, Joyce is bringing up the idea of an interim. Is that what you're bringing up? Is an idea?
Well,
of
you know, again, it's what ends up happening is nobody remembers, and then everybody goes, "Ooh, we need to get a certificate of compliance," and you go out there and nothing
Okay,
growing. So
so the idea of that after 1 growing season, there would be either an interim report about the status or maybe an agent site visit. What do you-
maybe even. This isn't a wetland replication area, so I guess if they want to wait till the 2 growing seasons and then come for a certificate of compliance, that would be fine. It's just that they just need to meet the survivability requirement.
I don't know. I
I'm
guess
fine
we-
with that. Yeah.
Okay, anything else for, and any comment? I mean, obviously Kevin make comments about anything we're doing here, because this is the stuff we're gonna put in the order. I
No,
think,
no comments really, just it's not out of the ordinary conditions or special conditions. It's it can be all taken down in the normal process of planting this area out. I'd have to huddle up with the landscape contractor that's doing the work to make sure he reads and understands the restrictions and the the process involved. So that sometimes that's half the battle.
I could believe it.
Well, one of the conditions in the order will be a pre-construction meeting with all the, the contractor and the homeowner and engineer prior to work.
Right.
Because we're not having any erosion control in this project.
Correct.
So often we have that gives us protection, but we're trying to hopefully get that planting done without doing that burden.
Right.
I guess I would like to maybe add, given that we're doing it that way and there's a lot of planting, I guess I would like to have a post landscaping meeting where the agent is called in after that. Actually, given all this, that we add that in there, given that we don't have erosion control, so that we can see sooner than later if it looks like there's things and some erosion or protections could be done as needed based on that. Okay, any other conditions before we close the hearing? Okay, I move that we close the hearing on whatever it is, I keep forgetting the address of 116 or 115. 116 Farm Road. Do I have a second?
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, Jacob,
Aye.
Michael, I, Carol,
aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Okay. So close the hearing. And 0 hearing. Okay, I guess we have to work on our preparation for findings. Unless there's something there. I guess I'll open it up to discussion first. Do we feel like that we're ready to move to that we can find that this project can be approved based on the mitigation and all the other conditions that we discussed, that this project can be permitted? Does anybody have any questions about that?
I feel there's a fair amount of detail and we just discussed it, so.
Okay,
Feels like-
I just wanted to formally do that as part of this after we close the hearing. Just want to put that out on the out in front of everybody, since I didn't do it before. But okay,
Any abutter
Right.
comments?
what?
Any abutters?
Yes, I forgot to ask about public comment. Thank you. I should do that before the hearing was closed. We rarely get some, so. Does anybody want to raise their hand or just unmute themselves and start speaking? Or forever hold your peace, or not forever. The rest, for now, hold your peace. Okay. Based on the findings that this project as the project for restoring an altered area, as well as doing some work on some stairs, as well as there's going to be work in an existing patio area that was already altered. That work could be permitted based on the mitigation that has been proposed in the plans and our discussion and in the conditions that we've discussed. And therefore, this project will not adversely impact the wetlands. And as this project is subject to many of the interests of the Wetland Protection Act and the local bylaw. I will keep that as a summary findings for now, and we'll work on this. Joyce, we have to work on a standard sort of thing for this, that we could fill in some things. Do I have a second?
Second,
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, Michael, I, Carol,
aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Courtney.
Aye.
Okay, order of conditions will be written, Kevin.
All right.
Get to you and you're on the way to moving forward.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Thanks again.
Good.
Good night.
Okay, we got this done in with 3 minutes to spare here. I guess I could stop sharing this screen, although I guess I could within our 3 minutes. Whoops. Okay. I have so many windows open here. Luckily, I didn't expose anything too personal. That I can't remember whether anybody had any more comments on the August 18th minutes. And I think, Matt, we decided that you were there. Whether you remember or not, you've been ruled present.
No, I was there for that one. I was not there for the 4th.
Okay, good. Now, did you have any, I couldn't tell you, said you had any, did you have any comments on these minutes?
No, I did not.
Okay. No, I guess, did anybody else have any, should I scroll through this thing? We have a minute or two. If I can, if you want me to just scroll through here. People can look at it here and just, there are 4 pages of which we have one of them.
Can you close the planting schedule so that the minutes get bigger?
Well, I'll just make it bigger. So I have to, and making it bigger. The Zoom, does this make it, that didn't make it any bigger, did it? Where is the Zoom in this silly program? Well, maybe I could just do it with this. There we go. How's that?
Better, thank you.
Let me know when I should scroll further down.
I mean, I'm okay whenever anyone else.
I want to ask a general question that I've gone in different ways on. When we look at guests, do we want to say, normally, if anybody's related to a project, it shows up when we actually discuss it. Historically, we've never said anything about who the guests are. Especially, and I don't want to have it for, even though somebody might be from a town committee, since they're not always speaking, like for Tom Trainer, who was on a number of committees. But I would say, I would probably not put that they're only here in that capacity, that it's only if, when they make a point. I'm assuming that they will make a comment, then without, if it goes into the minutes later on, that they will then tell us whether they're speaking as an individual or they're speaking representing their particular committee. Because often those are 2 different hats. So and even saying whether somebody's a representative for 27 Western Ave, or the people feel that I've been trying to reduce it to just the names. And if they're involved in a particular hearing, their name would show up. What do other people feel?
That makes sense because you have some representatives that will go for 2 or 3 projects.
Okay, so we're gonna drop that stuff. Deborah, in the future, you don't have to include that kind of stuff. And we will drop it from this, and I'll drop it later. I'll go to, okay, I'm gonna scroll down. And as we notice here, we do not open with a motion to open the meeting. I don't think we've ever done that. I'm not sure if somebody, if there's a lawyer amongst us, will tell us what.
You don't
an
need
expert
to.
in Robert's rules.
You do not have to vote to open the meeting because we're virtual. We have to have a roll call, like to say what members are present.
Oh, well, we didn't do that today then, although I did ask everybody. Okay, so we need the roll call. Well, we didn't do this, but we will start having a roll call. Everybody remind me. I know some people do this, but we don't have to, but okay. We'll do the roll call. We did it informally when I was waiting and checking that everybody was here, waiting for you, Courtney, to tune in. So in fact, I did it. Okay. Moving on here. Oops.
Do we want to try and finish this one or move to the hearing that's scheduled? to
Oh,
start?
that's right. We have since. Okay, we're not doing that. Thank you for bringing me back to do whatever. Let me stop sharing here. And we have. Okay. We now have on the agenda here.
You have Dan McIntyre for 62 Green Lane.
Okay, now opening the RDA with for 62 Green Lane. Okay, sorry, Dan, that I got lost in that for the 3 minutes of your life that I've taken. Okay, how do you guys want to proceed? Joyce and you about explaining this?
Would you like me to share my screen with the plan, or?
If you'd like to, that's
All right.
certainly free to do that.
Is that visible to everyone?
Oh,
Okay. So for the record, Dan McIntyre representing the homeowners of 62 Green Lane, Bob and Kristen Granara, who are on the call tonight as well. They recently purchased this home, which has been vacant for some time, and it's in need of significant amounts of work. We were retained to design a new septic system, since it does need a new septic system. We went out when testing with the Board of Health, and we were able to locate that essentially where the existing system is, out in the front yard. Just to orientate you, you got Green Lane over on the left-hand side of the screen. Got a driveway coming down to a garage under the home. Wetlands in the rear that were flagged by Goddard Consulting. And it pretty well matches, there is a plan, original 1978 plan for the construction of this house. And it pretty well matches the wetlands that were in existence at that time when they built the original house. The septic work is really outside the 100-foot buffer, with the exception of about 10 feet of piping we have to replace to connect into the home. But the Granaras want to do a few other things to fix up the house that are inside the buffer zone. First off, there's 4 dead trees that are likely to come down either on the driveway or these 2 on the house that they would like to take down. 2 of those are inside the 50-foot buffer zone, and 2 in the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone. Those trees would come down, and the stumps would be left in place since there's no reason to take them out in those particular locations. In addition, there's 3 live trees over here on the other side of the driveway that we propose to come down for a couple of reasons. One is protection of the house, and the second is protection of the septic system to get away from the root system of those 3 trees. In this case here, they would like to grind the stumps down because they're right in the area of where the walkway up to the front door is. So they'd like to grind those stumps out when they take the trees down. In addition, there's an existing deck in the backyard that's in rough shape. They want to take that down, rebuild it in the same footprint. There's also a concrete patio that they would like to resurface with some sort of slate or brick to cover up that concrete. And then in association with that, there's a small backyard right in here that is overgrown with just weeds and stuff. They'd like to restore that with some lawn. So there's a little bit of lawn coming right off the concrete patio. And then finally, the driveway is in very poor condition. They're proposing to repave that driveway in the same footprint as it is now. Just to give you some idea of what this looks like. This is the deck that's going to be replaced. The concrete patio that they're going to surface with some slate or brick. And then just to the right of it is where they'd like to just clean this area up and plant a lawn right here next to the patio. The trees. Move this thing faster here. There we go. Here's a photograph of the trees that are coming down. You can see there's one over on the left-hand side. There's a dead tree right there. Second dead tree, those are both in the 0 to 50-foot buffer zone. And then there's 2 dead trees out in the 50 to 100-foot that they'd like to take down. Those are the 4 trees where they'll cut them down but leave the stumps. And then on this side over here, there's some live trees that they would like to take down and grind the stumps off. With respect to the driveway, is a photograph of the driveway looking back toward Green Lane. It's a fairly, narrow driveway in between some vegetation. I'd like to keep it right in the same footprint as it is now, without cutting any trees on either side of it or disturbing as much vegetation as little vegetation as possible, just to repave that in the same footprint. So with that, I think I can turn it over for questions from the commission.
Okay. Do you, Joyce, have any, give your 2
Well,
cents
I
first or get?
I think I misunderstood what Dan was looking to do. When you said restore lawn, I thought you meant abandon the lawn to, and restore it to natural conditions. So
Oh,
I
okay.
kind of approached this from a different perspective because it really wasn't lawn. And so I guess that's, I guess my concern is that it isn't lawn back there. It's always been kind of wild and crazy. And so I'll leave that to the commission to decide if they want lawn back there. And then the area of the 3 trees, is that going to be a planting area? I mean, it's not lawn now. It's your edge of your tree line is kind of where the lawn is, where the septic is, and kind of in the front of the house. How are you proposing to deal with that? That's the start. There's the one question.
Okay. Where the stumps get ground down, I think they're proposing to do some sort of a landscaping bed there. They'll probably just put some bark mulch down now until they figure out how they want to kind of dress up that entrance for the walkway right there. So I don't have a good answer to that question, but it's going to be some sort of planting bed there.
All right, so what about the 4 trees? So you said stumps. Typically the commission likes snag. Have you thought about how high that stump would be?
What's your preference?
Well, as tall as possible. What? So I mean, one of them is kind of in an open area. The second one in.
This one right here.
Right.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't want to see that standing up, 10, 12 feet tall. That I think that should be cut down. This one here, that could be left tall. That's kind of right on the top of the slope heading down to the wetland, the one over on the left-hand side.
Is
And
it actually threatening the driveway? I mean, why are they cutting it? Is it actually hanging over the driveway?
well, it's actually dead.
It's dead, but the dead branches are. Okay, so you can have a significant snag there. Yeah. Okay, move on. Sorry.
The other 2 behind the concrete patio.
Again, that's whatever commission feels.
No,
is
I'm
best.
just asking. I mean, what do you feel is?
We're proposing to just cut them down so they're like 12, maybe 18 inches tops.
So they're not that far behind their living space, so again, I'll leave that to the commission. I can see cutting it lower because it's kind of close to the patio. So, so then, how are you gonna, are they gonna grind up the driveway? They're gonna take out all the pavement that's there? How are they gonna know exactly where to replace that driveway? How are they gonna ensure that they don't expand it?
Well, they'll have to measure up what it is now and just put it down the same footprint. When they are gonna pick up all the existing pavement. And then put it back in the same footprints. So they'll have to just measure that up and put it back
Is there
down.
any way to stake it before they, grind it? Any way to like, just to be sure it goes back in the same spot? That's one question. And so you have the erosion control ending behind the corner of the driveway there. Can you extend it beyond, out to the limit of the 100 foot along the driveway?
Right up in here. I think we can, but this is what it looks like down this smaller photograph. So to put erosion control in there, we're disturbing vegetation to get it in. So that's why I left it short. Well, yeah, we could throw a straw wattle inside the existing vegetation up there. Whether that would function or not, I don't know. But if that's what the commission would like to do, we can certainly do that. But I wouldn't want to have to actually tow it in and disturb existing vegetation up there to put erosion control.
Michael or Dan, is there a photo that shows that area behind the deck that you're proposing to turn into lawn?
Yeah, he had that one.
This one right here?
A photo?
There was a photo. You scroll that little photo in your lower right-hand side. If you go down to that photo, that where you see the window there.
This one right here?
We're just seeing the
We're just seeing the plan.
Oh, okay.
You need to scroll, there were some photos that for some reason I don't see in our meeting folder. Are there the color photos or anything? Or is it
Oh,
black and
he
white?
had good photos there.
What?
His photos were better than the ones in the file.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that. Dan, I think you have to keep scrolling kind of.
Yeah, that thing to the right. Keep going to the go to the right.
Direction. I don't know if you can see how you're carrying here.
There it is. That
Keep
picture
going.
there. That picture in the show more of that picture in the right.
That's just showing the concrete pad, right?
No, it had more of it there. That picture had.
Oh,
It showed some of the existing.
You might have to stop
vegetation.
sharing your plan and go to your photos.
There we go.
so it kind
Can
of,
you see that photograph now?
Yeah.
right. So,
Yeah, obviously this is in the no alteration zone, so we have an issue here.
right. And the land kind of falls off there. Look, is it a slope, Dan?
It's relatively flat, the same elevation as the patio right in here.
Mhm.
Then as you get out to the tree line, it slopes down at a pretty good pitch down to the wetland.
And how many feet is it to the tree line from the patio?
I'm not 100% sure.
Because I think you're proposing like 20 by 30 or a little more, like 20 by 35 lawns. So it'd be good to know how much of that is, what's there now in what you're proposing to do that.
Well, even without that, it's an issue of. This is essentially, I guess I'm having some concerns about, or just trying to struggle with the idea that when you go, that this area here is in the that area that they want to they call it, whether it's restore or what, it's tricky. To basically take area that is not all of it, but some maybe maybe a little bit more than half of it is in the no alteration zone.
Right.
And
Is,
so,
I mean, that spot looks like it's, I mean, a little bit we can see in the picture here, it doesn't look like it was a lawn, but it does look like it was previously disturbed. Is the goal to clean it up and get some reasonable ground cover there, or is the goal to make it a lawn?
Well, I was thinking it would be a lawn. I'm just thinking down the road when people are actually living here, they're gonna be sitting on a nice patio. I'm thinking they're gonna want to walk out in the grass to get back to the driveway, or if you're coming, in the opposite direction, there's in the bottom left-hand corner of the photograph, there's a nice stone step that goes up to the front yard. I'm just anticipating that new homeowners are gonna want to do something there, and it's better to get it done now where you can regulate the size of it rather than later when they just do it without any permission at all.
I mean, I'm wondering if it would make sense to instead of making it a lawn, make it some planned ground cover that can actually still function as a buffer zone there.
Or some, landscape shrubs that are attractive. So you're sitting on your deck and seeing something pretty back there.
yeah, we're in a gray area here of what's being worked here. I mean, it's even the limits of an RDA, but
Should we
um,
we could take the lawn off the table and leave it just the way it is if you'd like.
it would be nice to, right, I mean, I could see how, if you're taking out that whole concrete thing, the walkway could be where the concrete is along the deck, right? Because the deck is staying at the same.
Well,
foot.
they're not taking out the concrete. They're gonna put a surface on top of it. The concrete's gonna
Oh,
be
see, that,
paved.
so I thought it was turning to that it might be actually could become pervious. So it's still gonna
No.
remain impervious space. And you still already
Yes.
have that walkway there. So there already is a walkway there. Yeah, I guess. Right, I mean, there is the issue of this is sort of a backyard. I can't remember the front of the house, whether this is just a sort of. Yeah, I have some concerns about dealing with this. Right, I could see a landscaping plan for that, I mean, but I guess I would like the majority of it to basically, right, to, in a sense, take the lawn off the table but I would like it to be protected there so that it is, because it is in the inner buffer zone, at least most of it. Although the, looks like the 50-foot no disturb runs through the, I mean, none of the patio, some of the deck is in it, and the walk next to it is, but that the patio itself is, the concrete area is actually mostly out of the 50, almost all of it. So we have an issue there. Trees, I guess we could sort in terms of the trees that are being cut. And right, I could only see one of them might just be a snag because the others are sort of very quite close to the house and they're dead. So I could see that they could be cut, for me at least, be cut short. So maybe one be left to stag, the second one down the driveway. The other three trees that are being cut that are live, they're in already altered sort of landscape area. And it looks like there's a lot of trees there, so I'm not sure that there's a lot of trees between there and the buffer zone, so that I don't think they're a shading issue for the wetlands. So I guess that I could see. Can't tell us.
So mitigation for the 3 live trees or not? Because they're out at the limit of 100.
Right, exactly. And well, we could do that if I guess in terms,
It would be nice if what they planted there was native, if they were gonna do some plantings.
Right.
I think, that's a reasonable request. Whatever they put in a planting bed, there'd be native plants. But if you looked at the photograph, there's a lot of trees out there.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
why
live on
yeah.
Green Lane, so I drive past this house every day.
Okay, so you're right. That's why we're unclear whether we're gonna say you have to plant new trees as opposed to that, the request.
Right,
That
like
that
if
area
it's
is
gonna be a
native plant.
planting bed and you're gonna put some nice shrubs and stuff there. It's. You could
Be
put,
nice.
you could put in a small tree, you could put an understory tree, I don't know.
Right, the question is,
With the conditions that we would want there, or I don't know if we're talking about conditions, but we would just don't want
yes,
that
we
to
are.
turn into a lawn area.
What's that?
We just don't want that spot to turn into a lawn area. And we'd like it-
Where the 3 live trees are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'd like it to be kept some sort of native plantings, a planting bed. I mean, well, that's a condition. We're gonna be pushing the limits of an RDA here. And I think I'm gonna come back to the S. I think we would like to see that the driveway is staked in order to ensure that it's not expanded. At least in the I'm trying to think of where the 100-foot, trying to look at the 100-foot buffer. At least a part of the driveway that's in the 100-foot buffer zone should be staked. Obviously, a lot of the driveways outside of our jurisdiction. So that to some extent you can do what you want beyond the 100-foot buffer zone. I'm trying to think of whether there's, I guess, what's the extent, trying to think of the pictures.
Let me go back to the pictures.
No, I guess I'm just trying to, maybe I could just do it on my own just trying to look to the side of the driveway. There is some, if you're repaving the area, I can't tell whether we want to consider asking them. I guess they need to, whether some of that paving there that's in the 50-foot no disturb. Whether that could be, whether they be on the picture where you can go to, whether you can go to the picture where the side of the house with the 2 garage doors, if you want. I'm looking at it on a separate screen. Or I could share my screen actually. Oh no, you're sharing yours. Yeah, that one there. Some of that area, like in front of where that first X is there, or the second X.
Yep.
There's driveway there that's actually in the no alteration zone. Whether you're willing to, if you're gonna be taking up all that material, whether some little, I'm trying to think of whether
Well, I think it might be possible to eliminate some of the pavement down by the deck.
right,
But this is basically a long driveway coming down to the house, and it needs a place to turn around for cars there because they can't back out this driveway.
oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Pretty
Okay.
narrow.
Okay, just trying to look at things. But okay, coming back to the
So just to echo what Dan said, once you get down this driveway, you really can't get out again. And if you eliminate any of that end by the garage, like you said, you
okay, no,
end up backing down the driveway.
point taken. I was just looking at things but I guess the question is that, I mean, most of this works fine. I guess we just have the issue with the idea of creating lawn in a no alteration zone or in an unaltered area, which looks like it's in a quasi somewhat, whether it was altered in the past behind off the patio. So in the context of this RDA, it would be nice to
Yep.
how much you're willing to take that off the table, or we have to start thinking about how to,
Well, I guess I'd like to, I see Kristen's on the line, if she could maybe chime in on what they'd like to do in that area where the leaves are and.
Hi, I agree that it looks like it may have been disturbed in the past. I don't know that there was necessarily grass there or if it was cleared or, we would like to have some grass there. If that's something that can't be done, I liked the idea, that somebody had about, just putting plantings in, native plantings, just to make it look a little nicer. If the grass isn't an option, whatever's, we're willing to do whatever's, best.
Yeah, I mean, grass is not a very good buffer zone for wetlands in terms of
Right.
different issues there, whereas I can believe that there's possibly a planting setup.
Right. Or
That
if we
would bring more values for the wetlands as well as maybe your aesthetics.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Unless we did a little bit of grass, a smaller area of grass, and then behind that, more plantings.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that because towards the end here, I mean, from where the little cursor is, that little hand,
Mhm.
that's probably where the hand is probably somewhat outside of the 50-foot no alteration zone.
Mhm.
I think it's difficult though, because when you look on the plan, the 50-foot cuts right through the deck. And so you end up with like a triangle here, basically, of where you could have grass.
Or not even a full, I'm not saying fill up that whole area. I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
it's
there's
just-
like even if it's like a narrow walkway and a little, right, whether it's 10 feet sort of thing of that, or 5 feet, 10 feet. The question is whether just having a little bit of grass, I'm not quite sure what makes sense and whether, because it's 8:45.
Well, it's just a little hard to do this with an RDA.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting into that territory where,
Right. Normally, even though this is a very small area, normally from a regulatory point of view, doing work in the no alteration zone is generally something that would be done under a different permitting thing. It's only we're sort of playing with this because it's such a small area,
Right.
or maybe only a small area. And I'm trying to figure out whether we have, just to look at our schedule, since this is turning into a little bit more. We have a short RDA. We have 2 RDAs. I'm trying to think of whether we want to do a little bit more, whether if Kristen and Dan are willing, Dan's going to be around anyway for some of these RDAs, whether we can, on our agenda, the last 3 things are going to be continued. So we have room after this. There's a very short RDA, 15 minutes. Then there's the other one at Bear Hill that you have, Dan, at 9 o'clock, and that wouldn't take that we do that, whether we just sort of continue this discussion after the Bear Hill Road, and whether is everybody amenable to that? That we can reconvene this at around 9:30-ish.
Sure.
Yep. That's
Okay.
good.
Then we will continue this discussion there. And let's go on to, and I know, I don't see her here anymore, but I saw Diane.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. I know I see you.
Yep.
Okay.
You want me to come on camera?
You could do whatever you want. It was just that I was only looking for big names. So when that thing there. Okay, let us now open the discussion on the request for determining applicability for 166 Washington Street for proposed installation of a new gas line.
165 Washington.
165. Okay, right. My screen is so small over there. I can't tell the difference. Thank you. Okay, take it away, Joyce, or whatever.
So Diana had originally submitted an AA. She's kind of caught in a trap here between the utility company and us, in that they want permission to install this gas line. But there's no real plan or idea of where exactly the line is gonna go. And they won't tell her that or deal with that until they have permission. So we talked briefly about how we could do this, and I'm gonna share my screen quickly. And so I think that this is the entrance. So there's a lot of trees between where the house is and the street. And again, not knowing exactly, the gas company gave a sketch, but that sketch they gave shows just a random line going right through all the trees, right through the middle of the property. And that doesn't seem practical, and Diane doesn't necessarily want to lose any trees either. So I think what we discussed was that we would give grant the determination of applicability, or make a determination of applicability with the statement that there wouldn't be any trees removed. And if, when they go to stake out the line, maybe they could go up the side of the driveway on the uphill side and sneak between a tree and not disturb the driveway. But again, we don't know for sure what they're proposing to do. So if we do a determination that says there'll be no trees removed for this application, and they decide to do that, then we can revisit it fairly quickly, because they take forever to do anything anyway, and still be able to get her moving.
I like
Does
that
that make sense?
idea.
Diane, is that?
Yes, yeah, and I actually have a question. What, when we talk about trees, are we talking about my big trees, or are we talking about the little bitty?
No, the
Little-
big, anything 6 inches or over.
Okay, so that's what it is. It's 6 inches or over in diameter.
Well, I mean, any kind of vegetation is important, but you've got a lot of trees there. But when the leaves come down, they might find a path that goes right up through the middle.
Yeah.
But the idea is it's going to have to be a trench. It's going to be about a 2-foot wide trench that they dig from the street up. It might be 1 foot wide. It depends on who's doing the digging. And then they're going to cover it up and put it away. And they show an erosion control barrier around the whole thing. They will do a street opening, but that's generally not an issue with respect. There's a wetland right across the street. That's why they're filing.
Okay. I like this idea. It just dawned on me, I'm going to interrupt this discussion of this RDA for something that I think I realized I should have done in the very beginning of the meeting. And I apologize to many of the people of the public here. I wanted to let you know that, everybody to know that the 3 hearings at the end of the meeting related to 26 Western Ave, 108 Coolidge Street, and 0 Washington Street, that to tell everybody that the applicant has requested a continuance to the next meeting. And I greatly apologize not doing this at the very beginning of the meeting. And some people, so all we're going to be doing is opening the hearing and then continuing the hearing. Therefore, there's not going to be any real discussion of anything substantive. So I regret not doing that at the very beginning of this meeting. It's always hard to chair the meeting and keep on top of everything and then remember all the little odds and ends. So I apologize to people who have been enjoying listening to our deliberations in anticipation of that. But so I just want to let everybody know that if you're waiting around for those hearings. Okay, let's get back to this. My first cut is I like this solution that you've come up with, Joyce. I don't know what others think.
I like it. It's creative.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And just to clarify, from the maps, it looked like all the wetlands that we're talking about here are the ones across the street, and they're not in that strip between the street and the house, right?
That's correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
And plus their work is all and look like roughly mostly altered area, I guess, that they're talking about. Except for the trees along the street, I guess. What I assume behind it in that picture.
There's a band of trees and then there's lawn.
Right.
There's
okay.
also, so I'm not sure, this,
So the only
They're
thing
gonna have to
that's
work
more
out where-
natural is the band of trees, basically, that we're most concerned about. Because after that, it's lawn that will be restored. Okay. So you're suggesting that we would approve this, and it doesn't look like we need any erosion control.
so they show erosion control everywhere. I think we'll just require it between the trenching and the street.
All right. Oh, yeah, okay, I see their lines on it, yeah. Okay, so we have the erosion control condition. We have the no trees being cut condition. And do we need any other conditions?
Restored in kind.
Restore. Okay. I move that we have a -3 determination with those 3 conditions that we just discussed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, Michael, I, Matt,
Sorry.
yeah, I was trying to catch people unawares. Jacob,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Carol.
Aye.
Okay, we got something to move forward with, and it'd be interesting to see what the utility decides.
Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.
Okay. Let's see, we have the next hearing is at 9 o'clock. We have 5 minutes. I'm not sure I want to return to the other one. What I want to do is sorry for the people on Green Lane, but I just want to do it all at once rather than chopped up. What I'm thinking of doing is going back to my continual attempt at and here we have towards the tail end of these minutes, we're almost through. People can readjust their brains, and I think you guys were looking at this page unless I'm ready to scroll down.
You want us to let you know when you should
That's what
scroll?
I guess that I'll say it again. I try to say it at all the things there. People need to just say to me, done. Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, I know nothing unless people want to give me a big thumbs up or something. But I need to hear from people. I'm assuming, or I will just start scrolling. I'm scrolling or people reading. Give me a hand signal or just unmute yourselves and give me a little murmur.
I'm done.
Okay. I'm going on here. Supposed to correct this. Oh, typo here. Okay, I see a symbol.
Done.
Okay. Matt, you don't say much, but I guess I'm assuming I'm just gonna go here.
I've already reviewed it.
Oh, okay, fine. Oh, so you've got the carte, I got a carte blanche from you. This is the last page here. I'll just wait to hear from Courtney.
It's easier for me to read it on my phone than I've got to basically put my face in my computer to read that. So
Oh, fine, then I can make it bigger. People need
There's
to tell
in
me.
the announcements section, there's a slash after the on October, between on October 15th.
Okay, fine. Yeah, people just tell me if you can't read it. I'm more than happy to make it big. I have a nice screen here that's with all sorts of features. It's smarter than I am, maybe.
I'm good.
Okay. I move that we approve the minutes of August 18th as edited.
So seconded.
Good. Any discussion? All in favor? Roll call vote. I guess I should be saying that. Michael, I, Matt,
hi.
Jacob,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Carol.
I'm abstaining because I was not at the meeting.
Okay, 401. Okay, that's done. Let's see, let me just stop this. We have 1 minute. I'm gonna just let me save this thing. Oh, it is already saved, actually. Let me do it here. So that's done. Okay, so we're now about to go to an RDA for 29 Barrel Hill Road.
Notice of intent.
Oh, notice of intent. Ah. God, this one I don't think I actually got to look at. Okay. Okay, so I'm now opening the hearing for 29 Bale Hill Road, where I am supposed to. Oh, yeah, right. I guess for notice of intent, I'll actually go read. Since we're opening it. I don't know what I did with that little, oh, here it is. Oh. I guess I'm supposed to read something, Joe. Okay. Fine. Conservation Commission, Town of Sherborn. Notice is hereby given that the Conservation Commission of the Town of Sherborn will hold a virtual public hearing at the Sherborn Town Hall at 9 p.m. on the 15th day of September 2022. The hearing will be held pursuant to Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sherborn Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 17, to consider a proposal by McIntyre Engineering and Septic Systems, Inc., on behalf of Lisa Mulcahy, sorry if I'm massacring that, to replace a failed septic system at 29 Bear Hill Road, map 2, lot 89 in Sherborn, Massachusetts. The application is available for viewing at the Sherborn Conservation Office. All persons signed be heard will given an opportunity to speak. Okay. You've now got the green cards and everything else and that kind of stuff.
Dan, green card?
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm not sure if I dropped them off with Deborah yet or not, but I think we may have.
That's just the kind of regulatory wiggle room we just
Well,
like not to dance in, but.
I'm sure we did.
So you said you dropped off the receipts and the green cards to Deborah? You're on vacation, aren't you, Dan?
I am on vacation, so I
Okay.
can't remember exactly, but I think we did before we left. Well, the ones we had anyways. I'm not sure we got them all back in time, but they may be sitting in my mailbox now.
Okay. So
Deborah, do you remember if you got any cards?
I don't think I did.
Okay.
You could always scan them, Dan, if you think they're, in your system.
Yeah, but he's not there where he's getting it.
Yeah.
He's in a different place.
Yeah, no, I thought
Miles away.
thought you might have your computer, and it just might happen to be on it.
No, I don't.
Okay,
I guess since we don't have the green cards, we're in an awkward place here of, how do we, I guess I'm not sure whether we can have it, but we can't actually close it. And it's even a little tricky to continue it, to keep going on this, but whether I guess I see the owner is here, Dan's here, whether we can have the discussion of all the issues and whatever else. But I don't think we can close the hearing. This is probably as far as I think we can push the gray area of regulations. Is that making any sense as a working thing there, that we could sort of talk about it all, but I guess, and then with the green cards show that they got everybody, then everybody was notified and could be showing up here. But we just don't know that for sure. And if it turns out the green cards aren't there, then we would have to rehold the same discussion as a continued thing, just in case somebody shows up, even though rarely anybody does. But I guess we've got to be, but I guess that's as far, I mean, that's my suggestion as to how we can possibly proceed and not be sort of not following the rules. I'm open to other thoughts.
Well, I don't want to be a stickler, but on the other hand, since the purpose of green cards is to notify abutters, I feel like it could be a problem to start discussion without abutters having the opportunity to hear it.
Well, my suggestion is we wouldn't close it. And if it turned out that the green.
Yeah, no, I
cards-
heard that. I know what the discussion.
That's what I'm saying. So it does cover the fact that we would just have the exact same conversation all over again. And I wouldn't mind repeating it because we're going to continue this anyway, and basically saying that we would have to repeat the whole process.
When is the next meeting?
It's in 2 weeks.
No,
Okay.
it's
Oh,
October.
no, the 6th. Oh, yeah, it's full. The next meeting is
It's October 6th,
it's October 6th. It's chock full.
but you can still,
We could still do this, but it's October 6th.
Okay.
So do we want to, so we're not going to be able to close it today anyway. I don't know what your issues are with the Board of Health schedule, but yeah, we have to be fairly careful about the green cards, I think.
Okay. Well, there are a couple of things that the homeowners would like to try to do in the interim. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the plan, but there's 2 trees that have to come down for the septic system. And the homeowners have already purchased kind of the mitigation trees. The landscape is holding them. They'd like to try to get them planted kind of now is where they're recommending the best planting time is. And they'd also like to move the shed because they've got a contractor lined up to move the shed. So I don't know, would we be overstepping our bounds if we planted the trees, before the next meeting?
That's what I'm
I think
looking at.
I know the answer, but I thought I'd throw out the question.
Yeah, no, oh, geez. I hate this kind of,
so planting trees.
where it is on the plan.
Planting trees doesn't seem like
Right,
It's allowed.
as much of an issue as moving
right.
sheds and whatnot, like.
Okay, where's the plan? I don't even see a plan.
Oh. Let me see if I can.
I see a
And
photograph.
isn't the shed moving onto an existing driveway?
Where is the plan? How come I can't find the plan?
Yeah.
It is in there, Michael.
Did the plan show up on
Yeah.
the screen?
Yeah, Thank you.
Everybody else has seen it. Well, how come I haven't seen it?
So the shed is right in the middle of the septic system right now in the 50-foot no disturb buffer. They'd like to move it over onto the driveway apron here, which is a crushed stone apron. And then the two mitigation trees are kind of right in this general area here.
So the mitigation trees are not in the way of something else that has to happen?
No, it's just that they've already been purchased. They're sitting at the landscape yard, and I think they want to get them in the ground.
So I thought as long as they're native trees, isn't that just okay?
I would think that would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there, for the shed, I forget if there's an existing exception for turning something into a pervious surface.
Right, whether in fact,
don't
it's
remember whether-
moving
I don't
pervious surface further away. Right, it's only a matter of the activity. What's there now where the shed, is that lawn or
Yeah, it's lawn there now, yeah. Well, it's holes from where we dug with the Board of Health, but there's a picture of it.
oh, that's the shed, okay.
That's the shed right there. We just want to move it over and put it up right behind where that pickup truck is parked on that driveway apron.
Right, okay, so shifting it from further away from the wetlands. Okay, now, so okay, I guess that makes sense, and the tree planting is just in areas that's just what's there where the trees are being planted now.
Do I have a picture of that? I don't have a picture of that handy, but it's just kind of overgrown weeds.
Is it in the foreground here in this picture, Dan, or is it out where that truck is, or?
Yeah, it's on the other side of that truck.
Oh, the
Up
truck,
that
the truck
house.
is parked in the driveway?
Yeah, the truck is parked right where the word driveway is.
Okay,
This square is where they want to put the shed. And then there's a tree in this area here, and this area here.
And it's just, you said it was lawn, or what'd you say it was there?
Up in this area here where the 225 is, there's probably some lawn there, but then it goes back to just kind of overgrown weeds and brush. I think there's a stack of cordwood right there, right behind where it says retaining wall. But it's an area where we're proposing to make a no mow area to kind of restore that buffer zone back to natural conditions.
So isn't there an exception in the town bylaws that says you can convert an impervious surface to I forget how it's phrased, and so that if that's what you're doing and that's what the tree plantings would both, you wouldn't need permission for either of those if that's all you were doing. Is that sound correct to everyone else? I'm not
yeah,
certain of that.
so. I guess-
How does that apply here,
They're
though?
moving the shed out of the 50, out of the 50 foot too.
Right,
Also.
because now there's 50,
Right.
50 now there's a shed's worth of new pervious surface inside that.
50?
Right,
Yeah.
there is that stuff from both at the state and the local level. It's the same wording, I think, from the state. So those two activities, I guess, we're leaning that it seems to make sense that they're improvements anyway, and that they could plant the trees, but we're not saying in terms of what else is needed to be done. I don't know if there's any, is the septic system going in the existing area and things like that? Of existing lawn?
It's in the existing disturbed area, yes,
And including the grading.
including the grading, yeah.
Okay, and this is a
But we
replacement.
wouldn't be able to get the septic in within the next 3 weeks. We'll wait for the meeting for that.
Okay, I guess there's a little of a compromise here. The issue of whether we keep discussing this and rehold the discussion. I'll still bring up my issue of whether we, looks like we could find our way to not getting in the way of a couple of activities that they want to do in the meanwhile, before we close the hearing.
So with respect, well, we haven't even opened the hearing yet.
Well, I did.
Did you?
Yes, I guess it's right. Normally, I guess it's always this gray area that I guess normally before I even read that thing there, I should probably, maybe for next time, Joyce and others, that I think we should make sure we have the green cards before I even open the hearing. But on the other hand, whether we generally tend to open the hearing and then if we don't have the green cards to just continue it. I'm not sure what the correct procedure is. I like opening it and then continuing it because it saves a bit of expense and hassle for re-advertising.
So we don't have to re-advertise then.
Right.
Well, I'm wondering whether I should re-notify the abutters because I believe the notice that Sherborn uses has the time and date on it. So I'm wondering whether I should just re-notice the abutters with the new time and date.
So the way it works is you notify the abutters the first time, and they are required to follow up if there's any continuances. So if they get that first, oh, that's right. Well, what you need to do is go back and ensure yourself that they were notified and that you have all the green cards back, or look at the go on the website and just check to see the status. And as long as they got delivered to everybody, you should be fine.
Oh, right, but if
Once we've opened it, people are.
okay, I wasn't sure that you opened it, but okay, that's
No,
fine.
in the end, we've opened it. And it's a matter of whether we just can't, we're not going to close it. We're going to continue it.
Okay.
But yes, we do have to talk about this whole process of, do we even open things? I opened it. But whether that's something we want to change in the future, or opening it before we see all the green cards.
So this is
But
partly
if we
on
don't
me.
do that, then we have to re-advertise.
I did email Dan, but I also knew he was on vacation, and I asked him about green cards, so I should have realized that this was going to be an issue. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, we live and learn. Okay.
So do you think we got time on October 6th then to do
Well,
something?
we have to go figure out, that's one thing we have to do is,
So we can put this on first.
what do we
Yeah,
have?
I was gonna say, I would be open to doing it in the beginning, or even we could start a little bit early.
Well,
Like
what do we have for the next
necessary.
meeting? We have,
So we have three new applications, three new applications and a COC, and the 3 continued NRED.
so we have 3 new, and what time, and those times, have they've been
I have not
advertised?
given anything a time yet.
Oh, so they haven't been advertised yet.
No, because there's 3 weeks to the meeting, so they have to be advertised 2 weeks in advance.
So we have to spend a little time here to pick a schedule, so we know we have to do a rough schedule because we have to do all the other continuances.
So I
we
did
have
not
4
want to give,
continuances.
I didn't give anything times yet because I didn't know what was going to get continued tonight. So if we can put Dan on at 7:30,
Okay.
because he's the first one that's continued.
Right. You can put them at 7:30, and question is whether we feel, how comfortable we feel working out the rest of this so that we decide. I mean, part of my reason to possibly just sort of, willing to rehold the discussion if the green cards weren't done right, then we have a whole other issue. But assuming if the green cards came in correctly, and then I wouldn't feel like we have to rehold any discussion. We do a discussion.
I don't want to have a discussion until we know the green cards are
Okay, then the
Just to
question
be
is how much time?
consistent with what
So
we've
we're gonna
done.
do 7:30. Do we need do we have to leave a half an hour, 20 minutes at least?
At least 20, well, what I'll do is I'll go through and I'm gonna write the order. I'll write it up so that you'll have the conditions in front of you. So we can facilitate getting this out of here.
So how much time do we need for that?
I would say you should give it at least, well, it depends on how much time you want to talk.
The more time
I
you
would say
give
we should
it,
give it 30 minutes because this is going right up to within 20 feet of the wetland.
Okay, so we have it at 7 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock, what are the ANRADs? We have 3 ANRADs.
I'll
as
go
well as the
through and put, the NREDs are going to be continued. We can talk about those when we continue them.
But in terms, okay, fine. So we could deal with the times later for the others. Okay. Okay, so so we don't want to talk any more about it now, other than that, those 2 activities make sense to be done in any case.
Michael,
Carol,
I have a comment about that actually, which is, for the 2 trees, one of them is proposed outside the 50, but the other's inside the 50. I think, especially if we're gonna kind of say it's okay without going through the whole process, I'd feel more comfortable if both of them were outside the 50. And the one that was inside the 50, it sounded like it was an area that was already natural. I'd feel more comfortable if those were both planted in a previously disturbed area. And it looks like it could be pretty easy to move one of them just out from inside the 50 to outside the 50.
but I guess the only thing was, were we saying this was exempted and exempt?
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. I think we have to be clear, are we actually providing guidance and telling them that they can do it? Because ordinarily we'd only do that if it was outside jurisdiction or,
okay, so we have to resolve where we're doing that tree. And whether it's already, so that tree that's in the 50 is in already vegetated, fairly natural area. Is that what is that your?
That's my concern, and I know it's minimal disturbance to plant
I
it.
understand. I know it's a matter of principle. We're dancing on the edge here of things here. I guess we still have looks like it's only about whatever. I guess it's about maybe 5 or 10 feet inside the no alteration zone. Whether that's
I don't think like what the distance inside is that big of a factor. I think the bigger factor is that it appears to be undisturbed buffer. We haven't
I see what you're
seen.
saying. What is it like there beyond the retaining wall? Is that basically fairly natural area there?
Let's see if I can bring up a picture.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Not yet.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, okay, that's fairly scrappy.
So kind of where this stake is here would be one tree, which was in the 0 to 50. And then just off the photograph to the left would be the second tree. And the shed would go up on this crushed stone pad up here.
Okay, so it's not, that actually looks to me like scruffy lawn.
All right, okay, fine. We'll deal with this all next week or the next
Yeah.
week. But okay, the 2 trees could be planted, the shed could be moved. Unless anybody else had any other quick. I am going to make a motion to continue this hearing until 7:30 on October 6th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or any questions about this approach? Okay. Roll call vote. Michael, I, Matt,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Jacob. He's muted, but I saw his mouth.
All right, aye.
Okay. Good luck with the green cards.
We'll get them to Deborah as soon as I get back from vacation.
I just want to make sure they're all there. Okay. And we'll be more careful in the future there for, okay. Okay,
So I just want to say it is exempted under our bylaw to to do native plantings in the buffer zone.
Okay, what tree, do we know what kind of tree it is? Dan?
It was a river birch.
A river birch.
Okay, fine. Good. I didn't see it specified. Okay, we're all right. We navigated that one. And it's let's see, those hearings start at 9:30. Okay. So we're ready to go back to I guess we're ready to go back to the RDA 62 green. There. And you're gonna have to if you could pull up the screens and whatever else. I need 30 seconds for something that I have to go tell somebody something. So I will be back in 30 seconds.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Oh, Dan, you've been busy.
Yeah, we did a little design while
Yeah.
we're,
Artist rendition. Yeah.
we can wait till Michael gets back, but I was gonna throw something out for this
Yeah.
lawn issue to see if we could come to some conclusion tonight.
How'd the counting go?
I lost count. The COVID brain. I forgot what number came next.
Oh, I'm impressed that you can. I won't tell James about your counting abilities.
He knows.
Okay, sorry I interrupted. What were you saying, Dan?
So I was going to suggest something to do with the lawn area here. In this red square, I was proposing to put just lawn there. It's probably about 8 to 10 feet out from the patio, and I think this is about 15 feet long here. And then we'll frame that with a landscape berm, put some bushes in there to create kind of a hedge, which would be kind of a good demarcation point for homeowners not to do further encroachment out toward the wetland. They've got a nice walkway right here that's already concrete out to the driveway. We'll have a hedge along that, and then we'll frame in that little piece of lawn with the hedge as well. It just gives the homeowner just a little something there to set up a chair on the lawn or a grill or something right off the patio. So that's what we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
How big did you say that would be, Dan, that lawn area?
Somewhere in the 8 to 10 feet out from the patio, and then the width of the patio here, which is, I think, about 20 feet.
So there's barely a sliver now that's in the 50 foot.
Right, this area right here would be in the 50, as well as that hedge that we're proposing there.
But that'll be native, right? So
Yeah. But I think it would be a good, like I said, demarcation point from further encroachment.
yeah.
What is it like in the area continuing down on the screen along that walkway? How altered is that area there to where the trees are being, I guess?
Well, this is the tree line right here.
Right.
So there's a lot of woods back here.
There's the dead trees, but where's the tree line go where the green dotted thing goes towards the walkway? What's around underneath the dead tree area, for example?
Which dead tree?
Those
Over
two
here?
trees, yeah, what's that whole area like?
More trees.
More tree. It's all trees.
Okay, and the walkway is basically, there's nothing managed around to the right of the walkway is is all unmanaged. I mean, is all basically native there, basically.
Right, yeah.
I think I like this solution because I like the idea of, this shrub border of native shrubs. Seems additive.
Yeah, no, I do too. I was just wondering whether to extend it to make clearer that even though it's not the no alteration, that other area where the dead trees are is also protected or whatever. Or whether we want to just stick a monument there. By the side of
It
the
starts to go
walkway.
up a pretty steep hill. This walkway goes up a hill
Oh,
to
okay.
the front yard. So this is kind of a steep hill right into here around these.
Okay, so there's no tendency to try to manage that area.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was trying to decide is whether, just to make sure that that part of the buffer zone remains. And at the 100-foot, where that walkway ends, at the end of the 100-foot wetland buffer, I'm just trying to get a little more, some other bit of balance around where that walkway would extend up to the 100-foot buffer zone limit. What's that like to the right of that? Is that all naturally around in there?
Down at the bottom of the screen here.
Yeah, and to the right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all overgrown as well.
Mhm.
The tree line in the front yard comes up and over to the house here. It's a very kind of a narrow walkway to get around between the concrete
Okay.
patio and the front of the house. But yeah, there's no lawn or anything over here.
Okay.
It's all natural.
It's really like in the woods. There's almost no open space around this house.
Okay. So scrolling back there. Okay, people are feeling like that's is there any other mitigation issues? I mean, it's unusual to right, to some extent, that area looks fairly somewhat altered anyway. I mean, if it was more naturally done, I'd feel a little more uncomfortable about this solution, but that area looks fairly on the borderline of having been altered in some ways.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Dan that, once you landscape and if you leave someplace unlandscaped, people will tend to look for ways to turn it into lawn. So I like the idea of actually landscaping it attractively so that becomes permanent.
Okay. So we're going to push the limits of RDA conditioning, I guess. So people have, I go through the list of everything, sort of walk through it. Actually, before I do that, unfortunately, with this extended discussion, we have to have a few interruptions here. I am now going to, it's 9:30. I'm going to, we'll continue this discussion in 5 minutes, or a few minutes. Okay, notice of a public hearing. Notice hereby given at the Conservation Commission of Town of Sherborn. You could have left that up. We'll hold a virtual public hearing at the Sherborn Town Hall at 9:30 on the 15th day of September 2022. The hearing will be held pursuant to Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sherborn Wetlands Bylaw, to consider a proposal by Creative Land and Water Engineering LLC on behalf of Eduardo Rosa to review wetland lines at 26 Western Ave, Map 1, Lot 6 in Sherborn, Massachusetts. This application is available for viewing at the Sherborn Conservation Commission office. All persons desiring to be heard will be given an opportunity to speak at this hearing. Okay, do we get green cards for this?
No,
Okay.
I don't have green cards for those three.
Fine. Okay. I move that we continue this hearing to October 6th. How do we want to balance it with the other three things?
So I think when we get to that point, these will be half-hour meetings. They won't be lengthy. Because there will not be a lot of discussion on it. It's not like we're presenting a project. So we could either give them 45 minutes or half an hour. I don't think it will need to be that
Okay,
extended.
but so we're gonna have this and the two others. Question is, I
Correct.
think we had 3 other hearings in addition to that.
We have, they're new, there are 2 RDAs, one's for soil testing, that will be quick. There's a septic upgrade, that will be pretty quick. Now,
Is that an RDA or an R hearing?
yeah, so Dan is on for, it's from 7:30 to 8:15. And then, Dan, I think you have 28 Farm Road also? You're on, are you?
Yes, 28
So-
Farm
So
Road.
we
yeah.
probably should, for simplicity, back those up to each other. So I put 29 Bear Hill Road, I think we should give that 45 minutes.
Oh, you think we should go to 45 as
I
opposed to
do,
half an
because I
hour?
think by the time you go through conditions, you're gonna talk to, it's gonna be 45 minutes.
Okay, so that's at 8:15, so we could have, the septic is the 28 Farm Road is an NOI?
No, it's an RDA.
Okay, and that one,
15 minutes tops on that one.
Yeah, because that's just access. It really is. It's
okay, fine, so that one's, so, and the soil RDA is there, what's the third thing that is advertised separate from the continuance?
There's an RDA for tree removal. 78 Harrington Ridge.
Okay, those can be either easy or hard. You have a sense of
So, the soil testing one will be another very quick one. So if we give,
You'd have it at 8:15, so
so we have
8:30
8:15
we could have,
for 28 Farm. We can go 8:30 to 8:45.
that would be the RDA for soils.
Yep. And then 8:45. Now the RDA, they're removing a number of trees. This is the one that tried to do an emergency.
Oh, yeah, the
Order.
20 trees, yeah.
So we probably should give that at least a half an hour.
Okay, so I'll go to 9:15. Okay, so if we do the 8:45 for the other, because we want to do the other 3 continuations at times. So the only question is whether we do it at 9:15 or 9:30 and give ourselves 15 minutes slack in case we.
So I
could
do
throw
also have a
another-
COC.
Okay,
That will probably be,
quick,
that's the one on Farm Pond. That's the retaining walls on Farm Pond.
okay, easy, because then it would
Yes,
say,
so if we give that 15 minutes, so 9:15 to 9:30.
so we're basically saying that, sorry, I have no way of.
So 26 Farm Road, we'll do at 9:30.
What, 9:30 would be this continued, what'd you say?
Yeah. Yep.
26, so that would be Western Ave, okay. And we want to do that one first before the other ones, okay. I move that we continue this hearing at 26 Western Ave to 9:30 PM on October 6th.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? Roll call vote. Michael, I, Jacob,
Aye.
Carol,
aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Courtney.
Aye.
Okay. Sorry, everybody, we don't normally have to do this, but normally you don't have so much juggling of new and old hearings. We just have a deluge. Okay. Okay, we still have 10 minutes before the next one. Let's go back. So we're going back to the issues here. So running through this thing. We're basically, I'm just going down the bullets for this RDA, rebuild an existing deck. Since it's in place there, I guess, is that erosion control, the green line?
The dotted green line would be the erosion control,
Okay,
yes.
so the deck is easy enough. It's all accessed from existing driveway and everything else. So I don't see too many issues with the rebuilding the existing deck. Because you have the erosion control. Resurface a concrete patio in the back with brick. That's also within the limit of work. And it's within existing impervious surface. We just sorted out a possibility for a little bit of lawn, a different amount of lawn and a whole thing there. We'll come back to the specifics. Repaving an existing driveway I think we have a condition that that the existing driveway is first staked. With some pictures. In the area that's within the buffer zone. So we don't get an expansion. Driveway staked. And I guess with pictures, that could be a condition. Remove dead trees in the zero. Basically, that's okay, except we're leaving this, the second tree from the front is going to be left at least a 10 or 15-foot snag to the extent possible. So I guess that's 4 dead trees. 4 dead, the only condition there is a snag for one of them. Next thing you're asking is 3 live trees there. So there's going to be a condition there that the planting bed there will be native species as a condition. Replace 10 feet of sewer line. That's all the way in the back of the house there. There's nothing we have to worry about there. So
That's in the front of the house, but yeah.
right, exactly. So that's no issue there. So then there's a 4th condition on the that there will be a, what is it, 8 by 15 foot lawn and
I
parallel.
said 10 by 20.
Oh,
Well, if we could, I'm not sure what this distance here is. I think it's 20 feet. You know, if it's 22 or 18 or 17.
about, okay.
This is kind of where we want to
It's
go.
about 15 to 20 feet. And
Yeah.
hopefully we keep it to about 8. I'd like to keep it to as small width as possible, whether you could live with the 8 feet or whether let's pick a number here. That people are comfortable with. You're trying to get as much as possible, and we're trying to get as little as possible.
Well, no, I don't think that's our intent. We're just trying to clean up the area from,
Right.
you know, this house has been abandoned for a number of years. and
No.
they're just
I
trying to
mean, I
clean it
was
up.
being a little too glib.
Oh,
Excuse me.
okay.
Excuse my my attempt to try to drive everything to some conclusion. Sometimes I get a little too terse, glib. So the question is, I thought I heard you say about 8 feet. That's why I was.
We could go with 8 feet for the
Okay.
for the planting bed. I think probably need about 5 feet for that, probably.
Sure, I don't care. As much, you can take as much
Yeah.
as I think we get a natural planting there.
Okay.
So basically, we have so basically there's a 5-foot bed in parallel with the walkway and the length of the grass. We'll somehow write that out. And it will be planted with native shrubs. With
I guess I would say it should be like thickly planted. I don't know.
I
'cause
was about to go to numbers, like, do we want to have a density of spacing, like at least every 4 feet at least, or less? Do we, 5 feet? Let's pick a number as a minimum, and they could always plant more.
I mean, you can, a native shrub hedge, maybe. If you look at some of the hollies, they should be maybe between 3 and 4 feet on center, I think. And they make beautiful hedges.
Well, do we want to pick a
There
space?
might be too much shade for hollies there, though.
We do get some sun there. I was there this afternoon, and this whole area that would be lawn was fairly sunny, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, hollies are nice, but aren't hollies a little sharp?
No, I like Sclabra inkberry. I actually have it in a spot that's like shaded all morning, and then the sun comes around, it's doing beautifully.
Okay, I guess so we're just gonna specify as a condition that it's native and at least every 4 feet or something. So that we get a hedge. Is 4 feet enough of a parameter? And whether you, Kristen, could work with that, and you're welcome to put it more densely or a zigzag or however you want to do it. And
Right, I picture this to be you know, obviously this was just quickly drawn, but maybe a little, you know, less square, more natural looking.
You can- Yes, I would actually like it if you do it that way and you,
And I think that top corner right under the number 292, you know, if that's rounded, there would be even less lawn in that area.
right, yeah, I would, right, I guess those are rough, but right, I agree with you. It would be nice to just make it a little more
Right,
regular.
It would be more free form when the landscapers actually do it.
right, exactly. Dan just kind of drew it up really quick.
Oh, yeah, no, I realize that, but I'm just, right, if you wanted to do more, and I guess the only thing I would say is that part of the condition is that the ground is just sort of a natural ground cover, that you don't do that mulch bark stuff. This
Right, yeah.
stuff has a lot of weird stuff in it, and it's not a particularly good habitat for anything. That would
And
be some
sometimes
sort
we've
of-
suggested you can get leaf mulch, like the chopped up leaf mulch. So I know we've
So there'll
suggested,
be some sort of leaf mulch or other kind of herbaceous layer, anything. You can have mulch or herbaceous, but not the chip stuff. We can expand, that'll be a long one with herbaceous or whatever, some layer there. Yeah, and you can make it irregular there. I mean, we don't normally do an RDA, whether we just wanna. I mean, it'd be nice, you could just come back and talk with, once you figure out what you're gonna do. And stake it out, whether you do, you could also have Joyce come and give a look at it or something like that, or you could talk to us again. When you figure out what you're gonna do. But okay, so we have this 4 conditions, with the 4th one being a little complicated. How do you think, is that enough stuff, Joyce, that we've gone through?
Dan, did you talk about wetland bound?
About what?
Wetland bound?
Oh, right.
We did show 2 markers out there, but if we're building this kind of hedge, I don't know if we really need it anymore.
Yeah, I could,
I'll leave that up to you, whether you want to put markers out or not, little medallions or something.
yeah, I'm trying to think of around the driveway issue, maybe is the only one that. Right, I think this does a great job. This hedge idea does a great job there. Whether,
I mean, just to be fair, we've typically required something more permanent than a hedge. I mean, we've had people put markers on the tree line or, you know, something.
okay, well, you
Well,
guys,
the plan does call out for markers, so
Yeah,
we can just leave it as is.
Yeah, just leave it as is.
okay, but so what? Does that mean we're picking them or not picking them? Or how is it gonna be
where
picked?
they should be.
What's that?
Are you suggesting we should say where they should be?
Yeah, that's my question, Terry. How many and where they should be and how far we go as a 5th condition?
Well, the plan suggests 2. Do we like that?
Well, the question, that's part of the issue is whether, depends if you feel like the hedge. Yeah, I mean, I'm given that we're sort of, I feel a little, I don't mind asking for more in the sense that we're basically granting the kind of lawn thing there, and that's part of mitigation for that. Just think here, I'm in the wrong map here. So do you think we need something like at where the corner is, that 292 area is there, whether you want something?
Why don't we just let them pick 2 trees and put 2 markers on the trees along the back, you know, on that, somewhere behind the house?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Right in kind of this general area here is where they're going to be most visible. Up by the driveway, where we're going to leave that snag. Once you leave the driveway, I mean, you're going down a pretty good slope to the wetland, so it's pretty obvious there. So I think, like Joyce says, right in here is the perfect spot.
Okay, people okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing is it possible, Dan, to put another one though on where, because it's interesting that the 50-foot no disturb is right along the driveway, and I'm just thinking for future reference for people to know where it is.
We can put it right on that snag that we're gonna leave up.
Hmm.
And I think it's 1 more down.
Yeah, scroll down on the plan.
Is the snag the first tree?
Oh, but,
I think
yeah,
the snag was,
Yeah, that's the first tree, not the one close to the deck.
yeah, you're right, this one up here.
sure, let's put something up there and I'll feel a little better.
Okay.
So 3 wetland markers, 1 on the snag, and then 2 somewhere behind the house.
Or beside the snag on a tree that's not gonna fall down, who knows? Well, I guess the snag will last a
I-
while.
It'll be fine.
Okay. Okay, we've got it all done here. Does anybody have anything to add before we, I move to do a -3? Any more comments, questions?
I don't mean to extend this, but I kind of zoned out on the first 2 conditions. Could you repeat those for me?
The driveway, the area of the driveway that's in the buffer zone should be staked.
Okay.
And even since with some staked with, and then pre-construction pictures submitted to us
Okay.
so that we can compare. The second one was that of the 4 dead trees, I think altogether, that they could be cut to the ground with 1 snag.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions, issues, or you can bring up a whole new issue, even though I have to go trying to sneak this in before I should have opened up the hearing at 9:45. Okay. In that case, I move that we do a -3 determination with the 5 conditions as discussed.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Michael, I. Jacob,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Matt,
I,
Carol.
Aye.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, pushed a little new limit here that I'm not a little uncomfortable with, but I think we got something here that makes sense and.
Well, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, appreciate it.
sure. Okay, look forward to seeing what you do. Okay. Good night. Okay. 9:45, and I'll go to my sheet here. Notice of a public hearing. Notice hereby given that Sherborn Conservation Commission and the town will hold a virtual public hearing on September 15, 2022. The hearing is held pursuant to Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sherborn Wetlands Bylaw, to consider a proposal by Creative Land and Water Engineering LLC on behalf of Robert Murchison to review the wetland lines at 108 Coolidge Street, map 5, lot 48 in Sherborn, Massachusetts. This application is available for viewing at the Sherborn Conservation Office. All persons desiring to be heard will be given an opportunity to speak at this hearing. Okay, we're now opening the hearing. We don't have green cards. I gather. We are
No
now.
green cards.
We are now continuing this hearing to, what are we gonna do it at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Okay. To 10 o'clock. I move that we continue this hearing until October 6th, 2022, Thursday at 10 PM. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Michael, roll call vote. Michael, I, Carol,
Aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Matt.
I,
Okay. We've done that. We now have 8 minutes to go through. Actually, before I'll do it, Joyce, do you have any side issues?
I don't. Is there anybody here that's waiting on Washington Street that they want to know it's not gonna happen?
Okay. Well, we only have Katie here.
Okay.
What do you, Katie, are you here for something in particular?
I signed on for the Zero Washington, but it sounds like that's not happening tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna, it's, I said that, right, we will be.
I just signed on. I was at a client event.
Okay, yeah, no, we're, it's just being opened and continued to the next meeting.
Okay,
So there'll be no
thank
discussion.
you. Sorry, I couldn't sign on earlier.
No, that's all right. I was remiss in not notifying everybody at the beginning of the meeting and along the way. So that it's always a little tricky. Okay, that's that. So nice, no site issues.
No
Announcements.
side issue.
Is there a warrant issue? Anything that we have to talk about? Oh, yeah, there was a warrant for, we paid, I think we approved some.
Wetland markers.
postage. Wetland markers, we bought a new supply of wetland markers. We, there was some hearing announcements. And then there was some postage. And we paid a bill on the beginning work on the regulatory change with the consultant from BSC, Matt Byrne. That at some point we'll get around to, hopefully in the next month or so, go around to continuing on that process there. Going down other things here. The new agent administrator hire, there's nothing new on that issue there. Tree removal policy is being held up by me. But we'll make some progress. Just have a particular deluge of work. And some family stuff. And therefore, other administrative approvals.
I just had one at 29 Bear Hill. No, sorry, 21 Greenwood, I meant.
And that one is what?
It was for a replacement deck. Same footprint.
So that was a replacement deck, and was that approved or?
Approved.
Okay. Any other administrative?
No.
Okay. We have 5 minutes to the next thing here. We are now moving on to the Carol, you're gonna have to tell me things because I didn't have time to go look at your email.
Okay,
So,
see if I can find
sorry,
it.
I'm losing my voice.
Oh, commissioners present. Courtney Eck, my initials are not EK, even though
Do that again. Okay, we will someday get this right.
it's okay, everybody calls me Eck. so.
I know, but we will eventually get this right. Sorry, I'm having a little. Okay. And any comments on this page?
Should we take the opportunity to talk now or agree on what guidance? We're in the middle of minutes, but it's kind of informal to give guidance back to Sherborn Forest Trails. Do you want to wait until we've approved the minutes and then we can quickly go back and do that?
Well, the question is there anything, is the way it's summarized here correct?
Yes.
So it's only a matter of that we did all these recommendations. And the only thing that you're bringing up is whether we should have voted on that versus this was good enough to say this is what we want. Is that your issue?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Because Kelly asked me, so did the,
Okay.
did the commission approve of them? And I realized, well, we didn't actually vote.
Well, I guess we sort of did, since we did make recommendations that we did come up with it, but okay, we'll come back to this. Moving on. Anything else on this page? Assuming we got all this stuff correct here.
Yeah, I didn't see anything there. I don't have any
Okay,
changes.
anybody else have any changes on this page before I scroll? I'm gonna wait for people's thumbs up. You could do a physical thumb up too. Or you could touch your left earlobe. I guess that went past you, Matt. Okay, I'm scrolling. Yeah, you weren't there.
I'll see. All set.
Okay,
I just have a few things on the next.
on the next page, okay.
Uh,
Thank
so
you.
under hearing notice of intent, 49 Farm Road replacement system,
Yeah,
it says present and Brian is misspelled.
oh, we're trying to give him more credit than he is.
He's the giant brain, evidently.
Oh, yeah, there is that great cartoon TV show. The brain that takes over the world or whatever. Malevolent.
And then the paragraph, 2 paragraphs down that starts with Mr.
We'll
McIntyre.
have to wait. Are we through with this by the rest of you before we go on? I'm waiting for,
Well, I'm only going, okay.
oh, is it on this page that I'm showing?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, where?
Wait a minute, where's the 49 Farm Road?
It's at the bottom here. Do you see
Oh.
my cursor? And we just haven't pulled it all up yet.
Do you want me to wait? Okay,
Yeah, wait, because I'm waiting for everybody else before I scroll down.
okay. It looks like, yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like you're getting a suggestion to remove maybe a space there. I don't know what.
Yeah, really? It doesn't look like a space. I think it's plaques, whether we're calling about dental plaque or whether, what should be the word there?
Markers?
Markers, thank you. The obvious. Okay. Anybody else have anything here? I'm scrolling.
Scroll.
I'm not even waiting for you.
Okay, whoops, don't go too far. So then where Mr. McIntyre presented associated plans for the upgrade, right there near the top, under ML opened the hearing, Mr. McIntyre
Yeah.
presented association plan. So upgrade is one word.
Oh, geez. Here we go. Next.
And
I had a question about the next paragraph. At the end, you're saying Joyce requested extra fabric fencing to be stored on site should flooding occur. Was that talking about a barrier, like a
Extra erosion control.
It was just an erosion control barrier? Okay, so it wasn't flooding. Or
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily flooding anyway.
Should I say heavy rainfall?
Yes, that sounds better. I had no idea what to do with that sentence. I saw that too.
Okay.
let's see, I had another one where it starts with CE acknowledge this proposed.
Yeah, was an improvement over current conditions.
Proposal. This proposal.
proposal.
Proposed.
Yep. And then in the next line, they concurred that this project would improve wetland conditions. Was probably a little bit clearer. This is, there really aren't that many things to.
Okay, anything more on this page?
Nope, not for me.
See, Carol, you didn't catch this comma.
Oh, no.
Oh, my Lord.
Ours. Let's see. And then commissioners agreed to visit the 2 sites on August 15th. Under site issues, the 3rd line down.
Yeah.
There's a semicolon after 2022 that should be removed.
Right.
That punctuation. Yeah, that's incorrect. And that's all the edits I found.
Okay. Anything else in the rest of this? We need a whole document list.
whoever wrote and proofread this did a good job. There really were not very many edits at all.
And there we go. So. Okay, so we've got this done. I move that we approve the August 4th meeting minutes as edited.
Second,
Okay. That's okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I, Carol,
aye.
Jacob,
Aye.
Matt,
Wasn't there. Unless you need me for a quorum, I'll probably abstain.
fine, abstain. Courtney,
Aye.
okay, 401 vote. The minutes are approved. And I will work on getting them out there. Okay, it's 10 o'clock.
Michael, can you scroll back up and, oh, you have to do your, never mind, you have to do your hearing.
All right.
Hear
Okay,
ye, hear ye.
okay, notice of a public hearing. Now you can say here, here. Oh, you did, maybe it's before. Notice hereby given that the Conservation Commission of the Town of Sherborn will hold a virtual public hearing 10 o'clock on the 15th day of September 2022. This hearing is held pursuant to Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws as amended, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sherborn Wetlands Bylaw to consider a proposal by Creative Land and Water Engineering LLC on behalf of Robert Murchison to review the wetland lines at 0 Washington Street, Map 7, Lot 49 in Sherborn, Massachusetts. This application is available for viewing at the Sherborn Conservation Office. All persons desiring to be heard will get an opportunity to speak at this hearing. Okay, no green cards. And they asked for continuance. So we are continuing this hearing until 10:30.
10:30.
Okay, one thing I want to say before, before I forget. For you, Joyce and Deborah, whether we have to change the notices of public hearings in the newspaper, put a list to see. I can't tell if the Wetlands Protection Act is still Chapter 17 or whether they've reorganized it.
No, it's, I don't see those. If someone could send that to me, the notification.
Okay, Deborah, you should send it out to check, or Deborah, you can go check too about whether.
Yeah.
I think,
Deborah, why
I
don't
think
you
they've
email me what
reorganized
it
our
is?
bylaws.
Email me your template.
And we should put the job ads also, Deborah, when the job ads, the hearing notification advertisements, whatever that PDF is or whatever it is, it should just be put in the meeting folder for each one. So I have it there. I just happened to clip it from the newspaper. Okay. And so I move that we continue this hearing till 10:30 on October 6th.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I, Carol,
aye.
Courtney,
A reluctant aye.
Matt,
Past my bedtime.
Unreluctant aye.
Jesus, kids. Jacob,
Aye.
geez, okay, now I'm getting attitude. I don't know whether I have to, now listen here. You can keep me as your chair or your board meeting, or somebody else can take on this lovely task. I guess I should make a general, oh yes, passes 5-0, I should say that. But yes, I will always, I'll make a general comment that although I sit here running these meetings here, anybody else is welcome to take a turn at running the meeting. And I'm also open to comments. You can send me anonymous emails with feedback about how I do this, or if you can attempt, but more seriously, I'm always open to comments about how I do this and whether I should be doing things in any kind of different way, or I talk too much, or I don't leave enough space for people. Please let me know if you have any of those kind of concerns. I am more than happy to try to adjust how I do this. And I'm quite serious about that. So feel free to give feedback about this. And at some point, some other people, and maybe at some point, I'll even make the other co-chair run a meeting. But that's a serious comment about to give feedback if there's any issues about how these meetings are run. Okay, whoops, I mean, we just got an email here. Oh,
So
yeah.
can we jump over and get this thing
Okay,
done?
fine.
before Everybody falls asleep?
Yes, that's about to say, what else do we have?
Yeah,
I move that we formalize the recommendations made in the stated in the minutes of August 4th for land management, so that can work on that can proceed.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Michael, I. Carol,
I,
Matt,
Aye.
Courtney,
Aye.
Jacob.
Aye.
Okay. Is there anything else that we have here? Yes, Joyce.
So not to be negative here, but we have one more week in which applications could potentially come in. But we are now out to 11:15 because our next meeting is not for 3 weeks. So I could tell people that the meeting is full and that they need to request an extension of the 21 days within which to hold a meeting.
I agree with that. Let's try that. We'll see if somebody pushes, so they won't. I would say for anybody else, see if we can get an extension. But obviously, if they don't grant the extension, then we'll have to put it at the end of the night.
Right.
But yes, that'll be just tell them how late it will be and that we could put it on the October 5th, the October 21st meeting or 20th meeting. Thank you for pointing that out, but no, I agree with that strategy. Any other final issues before we adjourn the meeting from anybody?
Yeah, Michael, can you just send me a copy of the current tree removal policy?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Where it stands right now? I wouldn't mind taking another look at that.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I was just trying to do a quick look and then send it out to everybody. And I was trying to do it well in advance, but I could, if I don't do it in the next day or so, I will send you whatever I have over the weekend. If that,
Either way.
okay. Yes, no, I'm holding that up, but hopefully my deck will clear a little bit. Some other work. But I might just do it to you anyway, because another set of eyes would be great. Okay, anything else from anybody? In that case, I move to adjourn the meeting at 10:11 p.m.
second that.
Okay. Okay, any discussion? Roll call vote. Jacob,
Aye.
Michael, I, Carol,
I,
Matt,
Aye.
and the final vote is cast by Courtney.
Aye, Captain.
Oh, that's what we like to hear. Okay, everybody, we've gone through another night of quite a number of little things, and next meeting will be quite a little full house. It's been a long time since we've had that many of them at once. And hopefully nobody will press us to stay with that. And okay, and I've got to stop the sharing and I got to stop the recording. Okay.
okay.